Hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar, Discover the Canadian Rockies by Rail. My name is Lynn Brush, and I am pleased to be your moderator for this webinar. During this complex time, we appreciate your desire to learn more about train travel aboard one of the world's most famous trains, Rocky Mountaineer, and the variety of vacations available incorporating this premier rail experience. When you are ready to travel, we are ready to welcome you aboard. Before we begin our travel presentation, I'd like to take care of a little housekeeping. First, we will hold all questions until the end. If you do have questions during the presentation, please type them in the question box in the GoToWebinar toolbar, and we will cover them at the end of the webinar. Second, we're going to have 2 polling questions during this presentation, and we encourage you to participate. And lastly, this webinar will be recorded and will be available after the presentation. So now, without further ado, I am very pleased to introduce you to your presenters, Dawn Rogan from Vacations by Rail, and our special guest, Don Elmendorf from Rocky Mountaineer.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So we're just going to begin our presentation with some information about Vacations by Rail, and then we'll send things over to Don Elmendorf. As Lynn said, my name is Dawn Rogan, and I'm with Vacations by Rail. I'm a product manager here, and we'll just go ahead and get started. Welcome. So a few things about Vacations by Rail. We are the leading rail vacations company in the United States, offering the largest selection of independent rail vacations, escorted rail tours, rail cruise combinations, and luxury rail journeys. We're the trusted authority on rail, member of the National Tourist Association and the American Bus Association, and we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. We've recently joined with Great Rail Journeys, a phenomenal company out of the UK, and now we are backed by more than 45 years of experience in the specialty of global rail vacations. Why travel with Vacations by Rail? We deliver unmatched vacations and first-class service to destinations around the globe. We offer best-in-class customer care 24/7 before, during, and post-travel. We have extensive vacation choices aboard the world's iconic trains. We also offer custom group opportunities and tailor-made vacations that can be personalized to suit your needs. The advantages of traveling with Vacations by Rail: we offer a distinctive and memorable experience featuring outstanding rail components ranging from overnight trains to scenic heritage railways. We offer comfortable accommodations centrally located within national parks or in the heart of large cities. We also offer comprehensive sightseeing and one-of-a-kind experiences. We have exceptional customer service from agents who all specialize in rail travel throughout the world, and 24-hour customer care during your travels. We are the AARP's preferred rail provider, so all AARP members receive 5% savings on all of our rail vacations, which gives us really great opportunities throughout the travel industry. Why should you travel by rail? We offer distinctive packages designed for today's traveler. It's a unique experience to see parts of the country not accessible through other modes of transportation. It gives you the freedom to leave the navigation and driving to someone else. We offer a mix of iconic trains and historic rail routes with fantastic destinations, as well as impressive sightseeing. Rail travel is a really experiential way to travel. It becomes an integral part of the vacation experience and not just a mere transportation component. Rail travel is inclusive. No need to stop for meals or overnight accommodations on the overnight trains. Everything is available on board the train. So we're going to go back and switch things over to Lynn for our first polling question. Lynn?
The first polling question is, have you taken a rail vacation in Canada? So please select one, and we'll report back with the results in just a few seconds. And it looks like just about everybody has responded. So let's see. We're gonna close the poll, and it looks like we have 95% that have not traveled.
Well, you're certainly in the right place here, folks, for those of you that want to be taking a rail vacation. And now we're going to send things back over to Dawn Elmendorf, and she's going to tell you all about Rocky Mountaineer.
Great. Thank you so much, Dawn. I really appreciate it. Rocky Mountaineer, wow. So 95% of you have not taken a rail vacation in Canada. Well, I have a feeling after I show you some of my pictures that you may want to change that. So Rocky Mountaineer, we're actually 30 years old this year in 2020. So we're very proud of that fact. We do just one area of the world and we do it the right way. So what I'm going to talk about today is simply Western Canada, Vancouver, over to the Jasper, Banff, Lake Louise area. And one thing that I want to mention that Don Rogan said was a really great reason to take a rail journey is because you're going to places that are not accessible by car. So if you have, I'm sorry, have you guys been able to see my screen before?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, because I just got a message. So sorry about that. Okay, good. So if you've been to Canada, you've been to this area, or you think, oh yeah, it'd be really pretty to drive it. Yes, it is. But trust me, you have not seen it like this. The vast majority of our route is inaccessible by car. So as Don Rogan mentioned, that's a great reason to take a rail journey, that you're seeing areas that are not accessible by car. So welcome aboard, Rocky Mountaineer. We are thrilled to have you aboard, and we certainly hope that you join us. Rocky Mountaineer is a privately owned, family-owned company, actually, in Vancouver, British Columbia. This is a picture of our state-of-the-art train station in Vancouver, and it's where you become part of the Rocky Mountaineer family, and I really do mean that. We have volunteers from our headquarters that come out every single departure, and they come out and greet our guests. Then they have to go back to their office and do their shift for the day. And why do they do this? Because let me tell you, they're getting up way earlier than you are. We do it because we're so proud of our product. We really, really are. And we're so excited because we've been on this journey many times, and we know the amazing vacation that you're going to have. In fact, it's really fun because if the CEO or the president, if they're in town, they're going to come out and they're going to greet everybody as well. So it really is, it's where you really become part of the family. We do a big wave off at the end. This is a picture that I had from mine, and that becomes fun. Everybody on the train waves as well. I want to talk to you about this slide, a day on board the train. One of the biggest misconceptions I get is, well, where do you sleep on Rocky Mountaineer? You do not sleep on the train on Rocky Mountaineer. We are daylight only train travel. Really, the main reason is because you are going to one of the prettiest areas of the world. You do not want to be traveling through this at night. You do not want to be sleeping through it or traveling when it's dark. So really one of the prettiest areas of the world. So we insist on daylight only train travel. So you will get to your destination and we will then take you to hotel and get back on the train again the next day, and same thing. I'll go into that a little bit more. But right now I want to talk about our service levels, because one thing I do hear about Rocky Mountaineer is that it can be a little bit confusing. This is why you want to use the experts at Vacations by Rail. They are rail specialists. They know Rocky Mountaineer over and over. They go on it. They've been on it. So absolutely you want to use them. But I'm going to kind of break it down for you today. I'm going to do our service levels, then I'll do our routes, and then I'll do what you can do in the Canadian Rockies before and after the train. So I'll start with our service levels. We have two, gold and silver. Here's pictures of both rail cars. As you can see, really there's three differences. Gold is a 2-level rail car, where silver is a single-level rail car. Gold, you sit up top, and then you take a spiral staircase down and you dine on the main level. Where silver, everything's happening on that one level. Obviously, it's just one level, so it's all happening. And then the third difference is that outdoor viewing platform. That's available on every gold leaf car. And I'll show you pictures of that in a minute, but I just really wanted to show you the differences between the two cars. So no matter which class of service you take, it is going to be all inclusive when you're on the train. So that means that your meals, which is generally breakfast and lunch, because we're off the train by dinner time with that daylight only thing we just talked about, your meals, your snacks, your alcoholic, non-alcoholic beverages are included, whether you're on gold or silver. Also, you will have hosts on board the train, whether you're on gold or silver. And these hosts, of course, are going to serve you. They're also going to tell you the history of the area. So if we're going past somewhere like Pyramid Falls, they're going to tell you the history of the area. They'll tell you tales of the area as well, maybe some human interest stories of the area. But what I love about them is they're amazing animal spotters. So they carry walkie-talkies, and if anybody on the train spots an animal, even if it's 5 rail cars away, they find out, and then they yell out, "Oh, there's a bear on the right." And then it's really funny because everybody screams and runs up and goes to the right side of the train and takes a picture of the bear. That's where it becomes a fun social interaction as well. So you'll get to love our hosts. I get so many compliments on our hosts from past travelers. I'm going to start with our Gold Leaf. As I mentioned, it's our 2-level rail car. So on top, you sit on the top level, and this is your view, 180-degree panoramic view of the Canadian Rockies. Absolutely spectacular. The seats, nice wide leather seats. You push a button and the footrest comes out, and you push another button and you kind of slide forward. You don't lean back to recline, so you don't have to worry about the people in front of you or in back of you, but you kind of slide forward to recline. The seats are heated as well. I love that. Even when I go in July, I put my little seat warmer on, and it's just so, they're really luxurious. Plenty of room in between the seats. So I go twice a year hosting people on board Rocky Mountaineer. I had a gentleman last October who was 7 feet tall. So I asked him, I said, I need to know the honest truth. Did you have plenty of legroom? And he said, I absolutely had plenty of legroom on the Gold Leaf. So no need to worry about that. Like I said, nice wide seats, but the view is really one of the best parts of Gold Leaf. And then I mentioned you take a spiral staircase down to dine on the main level. Now, if there's anybody with mobility issues, we do have a lift. Just know that whenever you need to go to the washroom or to dine, you would need to take that lift. Dining, as you can see here, is restaurant style on Gold Leaf. So tables of 4, 2 across from each other. Here's where I have to give a shout out to the food on board Rocky Mountaineer. It is truly world-class cuisine. I mean it. We win award upon award upon award for our cuisine. It's all locally sourced food, so that means Alberta beef, Pacific Northwest salmon, wines from the Okanagan Wine Valley in British Columbia. So truly amazing food. You get a choice of 5 to 6 entrees on board our Gold Leaf service. And then I also mentioned this outdoor viewing area, only available on Gold Leaf. It's actually a platform, so probably about 20 people could stand out there if we all stood side by side. You can stand out there and take pictures, just breathe in that fresh mountain air. If there's any photographers, as I mentioned, this is an amazing place to be. So I've never been out there. It seems like people just kind of come and go. I've never been out there when there's been more than 5 or 6 people out there at a time. And I've been out there 20 minutes by myself sometimes. I mean, so it's just really an amazing place if you just want to get up, stretch your legs, or like I said, hang out and take a bunch of pictures, whatever you want to do. That is available only on our Gold Leaf. Then there's Silverleaf as well. So Silverleaf is a single level rail car. As you can see here, still nice wide windows. It's still considered a domed car, but you can see in this picture, the dome comes up about 1/3 of the way. So it's not the full 180-degree dome. And again, everything is on the main level. So that means that you dine on the main level as well. You actually dine right at your seat. Your tray table comes down. We will set the crystal, the linen, the china. We still make a big deal of it because it's still the same amazing award-winning food that you have on Gold Leaf. It's just a choice of 2 entrees on Silverleaf versus the 5 or 6 that you have on Gold Leaf. But again, Silverleaf is still all-inclusive when you're on the train, which means your meals, your snacks, and your alcoholic, non-alcoholic beverages are included on Silverleaf as well. So it's really just a different just a different way of traveling, whether you like being sitting up top and coming down to a separate dining area, or whether you like just being in your seat and having that everything happen right there. As I mentioned, you're going to overnight in hotels. No sleeping on the trains because it's too pretty of an area. You don't want to sleep through it. So you can do anything from 3-star properties up to the 5-star Fairmonts that are so well known in the Canadian Rockies. And this, again, is a reason why you want to contact your rail specialist at Vacations by Rail, because they have little tips and tricks to use. For example, you can mix and match your hotels and your classes of service. For me, I decided I didn't need to spend the money on the 5-star Fairmonts when I went with my sister. And we decided, because we were going to just be out hiking and out and about all day. So we wanted to spend our money on Gold Leaf rail service. So we had the more moderate properties, and then we upgraded to Gold Leaf on the train. Now, when my parents went, they wanted the Gold Leaf property, the 5-star properties as well. So you can mix and match. And again, that's why you want to contact your rail specialist at Vacations by Rail. Okay, so that was step 1. That was pick your class of service. Pretty easy, right? Now, step 2 is pick your route or routes that will transfer you. So I am just going to be talking about our routes right now. And those are the 3 solid lines that you see. That green dotted line, there is no rail that goes north and south from Jasper down to Lake Louise, Banff, Calgary, that area. That's where the touring portion comes in. I will talk about that in a little bit. But again, I'm breaking this down for you. So right now, I am just going to talk about our the solid lines, which are our 3 rail routes. So we have 2 routes that go to Jasper and 1 route that goes over to Lake Louise and Banff. You can start your journey on Rocky Mountaineer in either Vancouver or Calgary. So I always get asked, well, which way is prettier? Well, it's the same rail line. So really it's the same scenery either way. It's just a matter of what works out best for you. I am going to be talking Vancouver eastbound today just for simplicity and continuity's sake. So the first route that I'm going to talk about is our 3-day route that goes to Jasper called Rainforest to Gold Rush. You will start and end your rail journey, just the rail portion, in either Vancouver or Jasper, and then you would overnight in hotels in the White Diamonds, Whistler and Quesnel. So welcome to Vancouver. Oh, if you have not been to Vancouver, I always, always, always recommend at least 1 extra day in Vancouver. There is so much to do. Truly one of my top 3 favorite cities in the entire world. There's just tons to do. If you're going to do Victoria and Bouchard Gardens, you need a couple extra days because that is a full day in itself. And again, the Vacations by Rail specialist will be able to help you with that. But please take my advice and at least 1 extra day in Vancouver. You will then get on the train and you're going to get into Whistler around noon. So Whistler, if you remember, home of the 2010 Winter Olympics, it's this cute little iconic ski village in British Columbia. So because you get in around noon, you have the rest of the day and the evening free to explore this little ski village. There's tons of artisans there. There's a lot of shops, hiking, lakes, anything that you want to do, you can certainly do in this cute little town. Overnight in your hotel, get up the next day and head to Quesnel. Now, Quesnel's an itty bitty town, but this is the reason we call it Rainforest to Gold Rush. This is where the gold rush happened in Canada. So you actually start in Vancouver, which is technically rainforest. You hit the mountains of Whistler. When you get to Quesnel, it's actually desert-like, since that's where the gold rush happened. So you're going to hit desert and canyons. Think Grand Canyon on a smaller scale, obviously, but you wouldn't have any idea that you're in Canada, that this kind of topography is there. So this route has our biggest topography difference. If you're into large scenery differences, this may be a good route for you. You'll overnight in Quesnel and then end your rail journey. Again, we're just talking the rail portion of Rocky Mountaineer, and your rail journey in Jasper. Now, Jasper actually surprised me the first time I was there. I had heard of it so many times. I've heard so much about it. I thought it would be a bigger city. It's not. It's only a town of about 4,000 people, about 4 blocks long. Um, but I gotta tell you, one time I was on an early morning run downtown Jasper, and I saw 3 elk just walking right down Main Street of Jasper. It was really, really cool. So Jasper kind of really pristine and untouched is how I like to think of Jasper. So that's our 3-day route to Jasper. And then we have a 2-day route to Jasper called Journey Through the Clouds. Journey Through the Clouds again starts and ends Vancouver and Jasper, and you overnight in Kamloops. Now, people always ask me, why Kamloops? Why Quesnel? What's there really to do there? I want you to just remember, these are simply overnight stops. There's no grandiose Fairmont hotels there. These are just overnight stops, so you don't have to get into the darkness. If we kept going past Kamloops, it would start getting dark, and you would be getting into probably the prettiest area of the trip, and you'd be traveling there at night. So between that and the vast majority of our route being inaccessible by car, these are the places to stay. I've actually really grown to like Kamloops though. It's a town of about 100,000 people. It's where the north and south branches of the Thompson River come together. So there's a 3-mile biking, walking, running path just to kind of get out and stretch your legs down there by the river. And by that park next to the river, there's live music every single night in the summer, which I think is really neat. Our hotels are within walking distance of that park. And so when I went with my sister, we were going to go. There were some restaurants I kind of wanted to take her to because there's some really cool restaurants in Kamloops. But we were too full from the train because trust me, you will not go hungry on Rocky Mountaineer. That's for sure. So we were too full from the train. So we just grabbed some cheese and crackers and headed to the park and listened to live music. And we had a wonderful evening. So I've grown to really like Kamloops. Again, you're going to overnight there and get back on the train and end your rail journey in Jasper. So that's our 2-day route to Jasper. Then we have a 2-day route that goes to Lake Louise or Banff, and that's called First Passage to the West. So the same route the first day, Vancouver to Kamloops, and then instead of heading northeast up to Jasper, you head straight east over to Lake Louise and Banff. Now this route is really good if I have any history buffs or train buffs listening, because between Kamloops and Lake Louise, there's 2 important spaces. One is Craigellachie. That's where the last spike was laid that connected 3,200 kilometers of rail across Canada. And the other is the spiral tunnels. So back in the early 1900s, it was actually pretty treacherous to travel on this route because it was so steep. So they knew they had to do something, and they brought in engineers who literally blasted through the mountains and created what they call spiral tunnels. They're not really spiral though. They look kind of like a big giant cursive L, but they are truly an engineering marvel to this day. And we are the only passenger train to run on this route and through the spiral tunnels, as well as on the Rainforest to Gold Rush route that I talked about earlier. On this route, you can get off in either Lake Louise, of course, home of those famous emerald green waters in the Chateau Lake Louise, or Banff. And just because I say you can get off in one or the other doesn't mean you can't go to the other one. That's where this touring portion will come in that I'll talk about in just a bit. But Banff, I want to talk about briefly first. Oh, 2 nights in Banff at least. Again, honestly, the first time I did Rocky Mountaineer, our train was a little bit delayed, and we got into Banff around 8 o'clock. I had dinner and I had an 8 a.m. transfer to the Calgary airport the next morning. I was so disappointed that I really didn't get to spend a lot of time in Banff. So please, 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 at least 2 nights in Banff. This is a shot right down Banff Avenue towards Cascade Mountain. And this picture depicts what I love about the Canadian Rockies. Honestly, doesn't it look like you're just going to walk down the block and run smack dab into that mountain? It's like that all over the Canadian Rockies. Honestly, they surround you. They just envelop you. I've been to the Alps. I've been to Alaska. I was in the Tetons last summer. All gorgeous, gorgeous. But I finally figured out what's so special about the Canadian Rockies is that no matter which way you turn, you see them. They're not just maybe behind you or in front of you or to the side of you. And also they're very rugged and very kind of in your face. They seem very close to you. So that's what I love about the Canadian Rockies. Okay, so I explained our 3 routes. Now I'm going to give you kind of a day by day on what it might be like to take Rocky Mountaineer. So this I just pulled a sample itinerary out, but this depicts what I love about Rocky Mountaineer. It's kind of like 2 vacations in one. So when you get on in Vancouver, and don't worry about those numbers at all. I'm just going to kind of go by what this could be. You would get on in Vancouver, and you would be on the train all day. So probably from about 8 a.m. to maybe 5, 6 p.m. And then you would get off in Kamloops. So this is the relaxing portion of it. If I've had anybody who's taken a cruise or a river cruise and you're going from port to port, this is kind of the same thing. So get off in Kamloops, overnight in your hotel. We'll handle all the transportation. We're going to handle the luggage and everything. You don't have to worry about a thing. Get back on in Kamloops, and same thing the next day. This is the relaxing portion of your journey. Then when you get over to the Lake Louise and Banff area, this is where the more active, and I'm putting that in quotes, the more active portion comes in, because this is where the touring portion comes in. Generally by motor coach, most people do it. So this is where it'd be like a motor coach tour. So in this scenario, you might spend the night in Lake Louise, head up to the Columbia ice fields the next day. That's a full day excursion. Come back, spend another night, maybe have the morning free in Lake Louise, do some more excursions on your way down to Banff, spend a couple nights there, do some more touring, and then flying out of Calgary. So this would be the motor coach part where you get on and off and taking pictures. Where the train portion, you're on for the train all day. So everything I've talked about so far has been going one way on Rocky Mountaineer, say starting in Vancouver, heading over to Jasper, Banff, Lake Louise, doing the touring, and then flying out of Calgary. But one thing I want to talk to you about is what we call a circle journey. So I do a lot of trade shows for Rocky Mountaineer. Honestly, I think I did 9 trade shows in 2 months, in the months of January, February, and the first week of March. So I hear a lot from potential clients and also guests that have traveled. And the one thing I hear from guests that have traveled, they come up to me. I kid you not, it happens at almost every single trade show. It just happened a couple weeks ago in Michigan. Somebody came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, Rocky Mountaineer, one of the best vacations I've ever taken, but I wish I would have had more time on the train," or "I wish I would have gone both ways on the train." In other words, they wish they would have done what we call a circle journey. And what a circle journey is pretty much the same thing we just talked about in the last slide, say getting on in Vancouver, heading to Kamloops, over to Lake Louise and Banff, and then instead of turning around at the Columbia ice fields and flying out of Calgary, you might continue your excursions up to Jasper, spend a couple nights there, and take another route back. So you'd be on the train for 2 days, off for 5, 6, 7 days, and then back on for another 2 or 3 days. I was actually very excited because when I was at a show in Chicago in February, somebody came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, Rocky Mountaineer, one of the best vacations." And I thought, "Oh, I know what's coming. You wish you would have taken more time." And she goes, "I am so glad I went both ways on the train." I thought, "Oh, yay, somebody finally listened." So please, I know it comes down to time. If you do have the time, I would highly recommend a circle journey. You know, this is kind of a bucket list trip, and you want to make sure you do it the right way. Okay, so we've talked about our classes of service. We talked about our routes, and now we're in the Canadian Rockies. And how are we going to tour around, and what are we going to do? Well, again, that green dotted line I mentioned, that's where we're at now. There's no rail that goes north and south from Jasper down to Lake Louise. That's the Icefields Parkway. It's only 3 hours if you were to drive it straight through. But there's a lot to do in these areas, and the majority of our travelers will do it by motor coach. So as I mentioned, sightseeing tours where you get on and off the motor coach to take the pictures and see the sights. But I don't want you to think of this as a quote unquote escorted tour. You absolutely will have a driver and guide, so they will be with you. But it's not an escorted tour in the sense that you're going to be with the same driver and guide every single day for the rest of your trip with the same 50 people every single day. These are more like shore excursions if you've been on a cruise or a river cruise, half day, full day excursions. So while you will have a driver and guide, it may not be the same driver and guide every single day. And you may not be with the same people every single day because different people maybe have different timings, and some people may be going to the Columbia ice fields one day and other people the next. So just think of these as half day, full day excursions. You can also do it by what we call self-drive, and that's car rental. And again, your rail specialist at Vacation by Rail, they will put together all this. Super easy to drive. I mentioned I went with my sister. We did this. I wanted to test it out. I probably like the motor coach tours better because you learn more and you don't have to worry about anything. But we had a ball driving around on our own. There's one road, as I mentioned, the Icefields Parkway. You can't get lost. It's truly impossible to get lost. So you don't have to worry about that. And it's also not treacherous mountain driving. I have a nephew that lives over in the Colorado Rockies, and absolutely beautiful. But, you know, sometimes I'm a little nervous driving on those mountain roads. In the Canadian Rockies, it's kind of all down in the valley, the highway. So you have the mountains out and surrounding you, but the road itself is down in the valley. And again, we will take care of everything at Rocky Mountaineer. You pick up the car right at the train station in either Jasper, Banff, or Lake Louise. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, so lots to do in the Canadian Rockies itself. I could go over and over. I could spend a whole nother hour, and I'll spare you. I promise you I'll spare you. But just some highlights. The Columbia ice fields I mentioned, that's where you take this tractor looking thing down onto the glacier, and you stand out on a glacier that's as thick as the Eiffel Tower is tall, which is pretty spectacular. Jasper National Park, Emerald Lake, Lake Minnewanka, of course, Lake Louise. Also, the Banff Gondola, one of my highlights. I highly recommend doing the Banff Gondola. The gondola is about, a 10-minute ride to the top, if that. And what I love about it is you don't just take a picture, turn around, and come back. There's a boardwalk that goes out about a half a mile. And I promise you, about every 20 steps, you'll be taking a picture because it seems like it's a different view of the Canadian Rockies. So when to travel is the question that I get asked the most. When is the best time to travel? Well, Rocky Mountaineer, we haven't even started our rail season yet. We started April 15th, so we're very excited to get that going. We operate mid-April to mid-October. Wildlife, you're going to see most of the most amount of wildlife in the spring and the fall. The reason being is we do share the lines with the freight trains. Freight trains are carrying feed flies off the freight trains. The animals are going in and out of hibernation looking for food. So you'll see a lot. I could show you so many pictures on my phone of bears right down by the rail tracks. It's absolutely spectacular. But I'm going to give you the pluses and minuses of each one. So spring, you do get snow-capped mountains, and as I mentioned, a ton of wildlife. If there's a downside to spring, Lake Louise will be frozen over until about June 1st. So if seeing those emerald green waters are important, you may want to consider summer. We all know the pluses and minuses of summer travel, right? Everything's in full bloom. There's impeccable weather, maybe a little more crowded. And then autumn, another great time to go. You're going to get vibrant colors in Vancouver. When you're in the Rockies themselves, it's the evergreens that contrast with the aspen trees that turn that gorgeous gold color. And again, more wildlife as well. Okay, I am going to skip I'll go over them very quickly, the Did You Knows. Canada's on sale right now. It's a great time to go to Canada. Time zones, Vancouver and Kamloops are it depends where you're at in the world. They're on Pacific time. Jasper, Banff, Lake Louise are on Mountain time. This is pretty basic. Wear layers and comfortable shoes. You're going to the mountains. Bring a day pack on board the train. Your luggage will not be on the train with you. As I mentioned, we are going to take care of it for you. You're going to enjoy your day on the train, and when you get to your hotel room, guess what? Your luggage is going to be in your room waiting for you. batteries and chargers, but there's no electrical converter necessary because Canada is on the same electrical currency as we are. This one's pretty basic. Contact your phone company and credit card company because I don't know your phone plan, and your credit card company, you'll want to contact them as well. Passports, if you're a US citizen, they are required to enter Canada. And finally, trip insurance. Please talk to your rail specialist at Vacations by Rail about trip insurance. They may use ours, they may use somebody else's. They're going to check both. I don't care whose you use, just please take out trip insurance. This is too big of an investment not to take out trip insurance. Finally, for 2020 travel, we are at our 2 with a View promo. So if all this sounds really exciting to you and you are thinking, wow, I'm going to wait until July and they're going to have a fire sale and we're going to get a heck of a deal, I promise you that's not going to happen. We have pricing integrity at Rocky Mountaineer and we never discount. What we do is give added value. So until March 27th, and I've already been told in no uncertain terms, it will not be extended again. You will get 1 free hotel night that can be used in Vancouver or Calgary. Remember that extra night in Vancouver I told you about? You can use it, might as well be compliments of Rocky Mountaineer. Also, 1 free airport transfer. This is a private airport transfer, so you don't have to worry about it. You're going to get out of customs. If you use it upon arrival, you'll get out of customs. There'll be somebody there with your name on their iPad and off you go to your hotel. So that will be good until March 27th. But I think there's some other promos that Vacations by Rail are going to put up in just a minute. Finally, work with your Vacations by Rail specialist because you know what? They are the experts. As I mentioned, they're going to be able to tell you where you can save some money and where you want to spend the money. Many of them have been on Rocky Mountaineer, and if not, believe me, I have trained them ad nauseum to the point they probably don't want to see me in their office anymore. So please, please work with your Vacations by Rail specialist. So thank you. Again, I'm going to turn it back over to, I think, Dawn Rogan.
So now we're going to talk about some of the vacations that Vacations by Rail offers that feature Rocky Mountaineer. We have some really great different options for everyone in the Canadian Rockies. We offer both escorted and independent journeys on board Rocky Mountaineer. The first vacation that we're going to talk about is going to be an escorted journey, and that basically means that you are traveling with a group and a tour manager throughout your journey. So if you like the idea of meeting and making friends along the way and having, you know, every little detail taken care of from start to finish, having a tour manager, you know, be there as your guide, that one person to get you through everything, an escorted journey is certainly right for you. And this is our trip Canadian Rockies and Rocky Mountaineer. It is 8 days, 7 nights, beginning in Vancouver and ending in Calgary. It features 2 nights in Vancouver. We have 2 departures this year, June 24th and July 22nd. Traveling on this journey. A couple of great highlights are 2 days of scenic rail travel on board Rocky Mountaineer. It takes the route from Vancouver to Kamloops up into Jasper, up into that more northern area of the Canadian Rockies. We spend 2 nights in the town of Jasper sightseeing there. Includes 11 meals. Before we board the train, there is a Vancouver City tour in Vancouver. And then once in Jasper, there is a visit to Maligne Lake and Spirit Island. So a really, really great tour of Jasper National Park and a cruise on Maligne Lake. And you take this really great little cruise out to Spirit Island, which is in the middle of Maligne Lake on Jasper National Park. From Jasper, you'll head south into the Canadian Rockies on that Columbia Icefield Parkway. You get to do the ride on the Ice Explorer. That Dawn talked about, as well as do the Banff gondola in Jasper or in Banff once you're there. All of your entrance fees to the national parks will be included with the escorted journeys. You'll have all that transportation by deluxe motor coach included as well, and then the services of a professional store manager from start to finish, and your baggage handling will also be included from start to finish. You can see here just some really great photos that you might experience along the way. You have the Ice Explorer Explorer here, as well as Rocky Mountaineer and the really great city of Vancouver. So that is our Canadian Rockies and Rocky Mountaineer trip. Next, we have an independent journey, Canadian Rockies, featuring Banff and Lake Louise. This is one of our most popular journeys on Rocky Mountaineer. A little bit of a shorter trip, 7 days, 6 nights. Again, beginning in Vancouver and ending in Calgary. This one, as it is independent, it has a much longer season, many more dates to choose from, beginning in April and ending all the way in the first week of October. Some really great highlights and inclusions included on this tour. Again, 2 days of scenic rail travel on board Rocky Mountaineer. This year, you're going to take the journey from Vancouver, overnighting in Kamloops, and then ending in Lake Louise. In the 2 nights that you have in Vancouver, we include a hop-on, hop-off tour, which includes admission to the Vancouver Lookout Tower to get you some really, really great views of the harbor and the city of Vancouver, which is just a really, really beautiful city. After boarding the train, you will go overnight into Lake Louise, and then from Lake Louise traveling down to Banff, where you'll have 2 nights. You'll have tours of Banff National Park, and again, we include the Sulphur Mountain Gondola ride, which, as Dawn said, is just really wonderful and beautiful. Really great experience once you're up there. Excuse me, gets you to the top of the mountain. You can see the gondola ride here in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And it is really incredible the way you can just see all around you in the mountains, and there's restaurants up there, so you can spend your time dining, really spending your day as you choose. Our next option is the Canadian Rockies Rail Journey. It is a 7-day, 6-night journey, beginning in Vancouver and again ending in Calgary. This one goes into Banff, again, April through October. And some highlights of this include the Vancouver sightseeing with Capilano Suspension Bridge. This is one of my absolute favorite things to do in Vancouver. You go out of the city just a little bit north into North Vancouver across the Lionsgate Bridge, and then you take this wonderful, wonderful kind of little trek through the rainforest across the Capilano Suspension Bridge, and it's a really, really cool, beautiful way to spend the day. While you're in the Rockies, we include a Yoho National Park excursion, including the Spiral Tunnels and Emerald Lake. And this is another really great tour that you can do while in the Canadian Rockies. And here's just some pictures that we have here. That's the Capilano Suspension Bridge in the middle of your screen there. You can just see that the bridge suspended above the river. Really great pictures of Emerald Lake and Yoho National Park there as well. One of our new programs for 2020 is a luxury journey, Rocky Mountaineer and Ocean House on Haida Gwaii. This trip begins in Calgary and ends in Vancouver. So you're going to do the Rocky Mountaineer portion of your journey first, spending time in Banff, 2 nights there, includes private touring of Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. And then you'll take the train 2 days on the Rocky Mountaineer en route to Banff. Includes hotel nights accommodation for 9 nights, including 3 nights at Ocean House at Coonsguagua. And Haida Gwaii is this archipelago located north of Vancouver Island. It's this incredibly wonderful, absolutely beautiful eco lodge, all inclusive. Includes all kinds of activities and amenities at Ocean House, like the sauna, steam room, kayaks. There's guided walks, on-site cultural interpreters. It is in an Indigenous land area. It's owned by the Indigenous tribes there on Haida Gwaii. So lots of really great totem poles and Indigenous artifacts, and really learning about the First Nations cultures of BC, which is a really, really beautiful kind of step back in time. But they serve gourmet food and, wine and all kinds of really, really wonderful things. So it'll be all inclusive while you're at Haida Gwaii. And then it's always your meals on board the Rocky Mountaineer. And then we do include touring, private touring in Vancouver as well. So this photo here at the top left of your screen is of the view of the porch from the Eco Lodge, and in the bottom right-hand corner will be views of the archipelago as well. Some pictures on board the Rocky Mountaineer for the rest of your information there. Vacations by Rail also offers great opportunities to customize your vacation to suit your needs. Just to really make it the rail vacation of your dreams. Some things that we offer in terms of upgrading your experience would be deluxe Lakeview rooms in Lake Louise. So just to kind of get that bucket list experience while you're traveling, if you're going to spend a night at the Hotel Chateau Lake Louise, definitely upgrade to a Lakeview room so that you can peer out over those beautiful emerald waters. We also offer private transfers if that's something that you're interested in, to and from the airports or within the Rockies. We offer all kinds of additional sightseeing opportunities if you're more active and you want to hike or kayak, or if you want to take a photo tour, or if you want to do wildlife viewing, food tours. All different kinds of things throughout the Rockies are available, no matter what your level of fitness or what your desires or interests are. There definitely is something for everyone. I'm not the biggest outdoorsman myself. I'll always, kind of participate and enjoy, but I also love history tours and food tours and all those kind of things to really more immerse myself in the history or in the culture of the area that I'm visiting. So just really something for every taste, for every budget. And we can always add additional hotel nights in the Rockies as well. We're going to go back over to Lynn here for, our next polling question.
The question is, what is most important to you in selecting a vacation? The choices are memorable train experience, unique destinations, distinctive sightseeing and excursions, the ability to customize, and flexible departure dates. So we'll leave this up for a little bit longer. It looks like we have about half of our attendees voting. And we'll close the poll, and it is a tie between memorable train experience and distinctive sightseeing and excursions.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Rocky Mountaineer certainly offers a memorable train experience, as Dawn talked about with us. Yeah, really, really great opportunity, and then all kinds of phenomenal sightseeing abilities for everyone as well. As we talked about, really something to customize your every need, no matter how active or more passive you are. Anything that you would like to do while traveling with Rocky Mountaineer and Vacations by Rail on board the train, we can certainly, on and off the train, we can certainly make happen. You can always learn more by visiting our website at www.vacationsbyrail.com. So you can order a brochure with us, or give us a call at 877-929-7245 and speak with a rail specialist if you have any specific questions about a journey with Vacations by Rail. Yes, so we have, again, as I said, all kinds of different train trips throughout Canada with Rocky Mountaineer, across North America and the rest of the world. And then we do have a few offers. Dawn talked about the offer that they have, which is the get to for the additional hotel night and transfer for qualifying Rocky Mountaineer vacations of 5 days or more. It's up to $400 in added value per couple. So a really, really great deal there for everyone. And then Vacations by Rail has an additional offer for you as well for some of our other trips with Rocky Mountaineer. So just about everything that we offer that's rail and hotel with Rocky Mountaineer will have some sort of vacation offer on it at this time. So we have the one that's that Dawn talked about, and then Vacations by Rail also offers a savings of up to $200 per person on certain rail vacations. So if you have any questions about our current offers, you can just give us a call or visit us online. All of our packages will be tagged with our current offers. And then how to book. You can go to, as I said, our website at www.vacationsbyrail.com. You can give us a call at 877-929-7245, or you can email us at info@vacationsbyrail.com. And an insider tip that we have for you is that the rail specialist that you call and speak with, from the starting point will be your rail specialist all throughout travel through the end of your trip. So you'll really get familiar with your rail specialist, and they'll be able to walk you through the entire process and be with you every step of the way. Lynn, did we have any questions for Q&A today? Lynn?
I am here. Let me just, do I have access to my keyboard, I wonder? All right. So we do have some questions, and I will pull them up right now. The questions are, can you hear the wildlife announcements on the platform? That would be a great one for Don Elmendorf.
Yes, you cannot necessarily hear the wildlife when you're on the announcement when you're on the platform, but you'll probably be able to hear everybody screaming from the top of the second where they're sitting. So I shouldn't say you can't, there is a little bit of a speaker outside. It doesn't come across really well because you're hearing it, you're hearing the rail car, going on the train track. So but I can promise you take amazing pictures even from inside the rail car of the wildlife. Like I said, I could show you so many pictures on my phone of animals down by the train tracks, and those were taken from the inside of the rail car as well.
Thanks. Don Elmendorf, what coach providers do we work with once we're in the Rockies?
In the Rockies, the coach provider we sub out is Brewster's, and they're the #1 in Canada.
Excellent. And what are the sanitation procedures on board the train?
Well, sanitation procedures, you would not believe how clean that train is. I'm not kidding. And Don Rogan can testify to this. It's somebody's following you. It's crazy. It's like, I felt like I put a fingerprint on and somebody's out there wiping it. But believe it or not, with everything that's going on, we're coming out with enhanced cleaning. I have no idea how they're going to enhance it even more. Every rail car has its own kitchen and culinary team as well.
It's absolutely spotless. They're so incredibly clean. It's pretty amazing.
Wonderful. Well, those are our questions. So I'll let you guys wrap it up.
Okay. Well, this is Dawn from Rocky Mountaineer. I'll start. Just thank you so much for joining. It's a great time to go to the Canadian Rockies. It's just such a beautiful time between April and October. The mountains are beautiful. The train, Rocky Mountaineer, truly one of the most amazing trips you will take. I'm so fortunate to work for such a great company. Like I said, I get people all the time coming up to me and saying, oh my gosh, that was one of my favorite trips, or, oh, you work for Rocky Mountaineer. That's such a trip that I want to take. So thank you for joining us. And I certainly hope that you're on board Rocky Mountaineer. Give Vacations by Rail a call. They're going to be able to help create your perfect journey with Rocky Mountaineer.
Thank you, Dawn. And I want to thank Dawn from Rocky Mountaineer and thank Lynn with Vacations by Rail as well. Thank you all so much for joining us for our presentation today. If you have any questions about trips with Rocky Mountaineer or any other train journeys with Vacations by Rail, please go ahead and visit our website or give us a call. And thanks, Lynn, so much for moderating our presentation today.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.